1. The phone-free morning. The morning begins, and before the mind is even fully awake, the phone takes control. Emails, social media, notifications, and overnight opinions start demanding attention immediately. Without noticing it, the first few minutes of the day are given to the outside world instead of the person waking up. Those first 30 minutes matter. They shape the mood, focus, and energy for everything that follows. Starting the morning with a screen puts the mind into reactive mode. Before the day has even begun, it is already dealing with other people's urgency, opinions, and problems. This creates stress before clear intention has a chance to form. Instead of beginning with control, the mind begins with pressure. The fix is simple. Keep the phone face down for the first 30 minutes. No checking, no scrolling. Drink water, get dressed, breathe. Let the brain wake up before the world gets access to it. At first, it may feel uncomfortable because the mind expects instant stimulation. But that discomfort is the reset, and it passes faster than expected. Writing one sentence per day. Journaling does not need to be complicated. It does not require a perfect notebook, a quiet room, or a long writing session. It can begin with one sentence. One sentence is enough to capture what mattered most that day. Not every detail, not every thought, just the one thing worth remembering. Over time, this small habit becomes a record of life, instead of letting each day disappear into forgotten evenings. Research on expressive writing suggests that even short daily reflection can improve mood, reduce stress, and help the brain remember experiences more clearly. That is why one sentence is enough to begin. Many people fail at journaling because they try to start too big. The goal is not to write perfectly or for a long time. Good days, bad days, boring days. Write one sentence. The habit matters more than the prose. The 2-minute rule. A single dirty cup sits in the sink. It gets ignored. The next day, there are 3. By the end of the week, a small task has turned into a bigger problem that now feels harder to start. The rule is simple. If something takes less than 2 minutes, do it immediately. Reply to the short email. Put the cup away. Write down the thought before it disappears. Small, unfinished tasks may seem harmless, but over time, they create a constant background stress that follows the mind everywhere. Psychologists call this the Zeigarnik effect. The mind keeps holding on to unfinished tasks, even when they are not being actively thought about. Many items on a mental to-do list take less than 2 minutes. The list is not always difficult. It is often just filled with small things that have been ignored for too long. Each task feels minor on its own, but together they create quiet mental exhaustion. The 1% rule. Nobody becomes great overnight. Progress usually begins with doing one small thing slightly better than yesterday. That is the idea behind the 1% rule. Improve a little every day, even when the change feels too small to notice. A 1% improvement may look invisible in the moment. It may not feel dramatic, exciting, or worth showing. But over time, small improvements begin to compound. After 1 year, those tiny daily changes can create a completely different level of skill, discipline, and behavior. Some people quit before the results become visible, often right before the compounding begins to show. The opposite is also true. Becoming 1% worse every day slowly pulls a person down until progress almost disappears. Every habit is compounding in one direction or the other, either helping or hurting, quietly and consistently. Small actions repeated daily will always beat big actions done only occasionally. Single tasking. A person can be on a call, half reading an email, with 3 tabs open and a notification blinking in the corner. It feels productive, but it is not. It is just the appearance of productivity, while several things are being done poorly at the same time. Multitasking is mostly a myth. What actually happens is task switching, jumping from one focus point to another, and every switch has a cost. The brain needs time to load a new context, understand what matters, and regain focus. When switching happens constantly, that cost is paid again and again, without ever reaching deep focus on anything. Studies suggest that constant task switching can sharply reduce mental performance in the moment. It is like creating the tired, unfocused feeling of an all-nighter, but doing it voluntarily every day. The better approach is simple. One task, full attention. Finish it or deliberately pause it, then move on to the next thing. At first, single tasking may feel slower, but in reality, it is more efficient. It leads to better work, fewer mistakes, and a clearer sense of where the day actually went. Saying no by default. Many people say yes to things they do not want to do not have time for, and will not truly enjoy, simply because saying no feels rude, while saying yes feels easier. But every yes has a cost. It takes time, focus, energy, and space away from real priorities. Protecting time does not make a person antisocial. It means they understand that attention is limited. A quick yes given to avoid an awkward moment often becomes a real cost paid later. Warren Buffett once said that the difference between successful people and very successful people is that very successful people say no to almost everything. The simple script is, let me check and get back to you. It is not an instant no. It is just a pause. And that pause filters out many things that would have been accepted on impulse. The future self usually has a much clearer opinion about how time should be used. It is worth checking with that version before making a commitment. The complaint. Fast. Try going 24 hours without complaining. No comments about traffic, weather, workload, colleagues, or the news. The goal is not perfection. The goal is awareness. Most people notice the urge quickly, not because life is terrible, but because complaining has become a social habit. The problem is that the brain does not always separate venting from believing. Each complaint trains the mind to keep searching for problems. Neuroplasticity shows that repeated thought patterns can strengthen the brain pathways connected to them. So when complaining becomes a habit, the mind slowly gets trained to notice what is wrong. A complaint fast does not mean ignoring real problems. It means pausing the automatic need to speak every frustration out loud. After 24 hours, many people feel lighter, not because life has changed, but because the mind has stopped repeating the same problems again and again. Try it once, just once. The cold shower closer. Most people do not want to do this habit, and that is exactly why it works. At the end of a normal shower, turn the water cold for the last 30 seconds. Not the whole shower, just the final 30 seconds. The mind will immediately resist and try to explain why it is unnecessary, uncomfortable, or too much for the morning. Do it anyway. Research from the Netherlands found that people who took cold showers reported higher energy levels and took 29% fewer sick days. But the physical benefits are not the main point. The real training is not cold tolerance. It is the gap between impulse and action. It teaches the mind to do something uncomfortable because it was decided, not because it felt easy. That skill shows up everywhere, in the gym, in difficult conversations, and during hard work when distraction is nearby. Every morning, the resistance is overridden. The ability to override it gets slightly stronger. It is only 30 seconds. The cold water is just the tool. The weekly review. Sunday evening, 20 minutes. No phone, no distractions, just a few honest questions. What happened this week? What worked? What did not work? What actually needs to happen next week? And what is just noise? Most people move from task to task without ever stopping to ask whether they are moving in the right direction. The weekly review is the habit that makes other habits work better. It is the moment to catch small drift before it becomes a major detour. It helps reveal what has been avoided, what has been overcomplicated, and what simply needs to be done next. It also brings attention back to what actually matters before the noise of the week takes over. 20 minutes a week becomes 17 hours a year spent reflecting deliberately on life. Most people spend no time doing this, then wonder in December where the year went. The review does not fix life automatically. It simply helps make sure the person is steering instead of just going along for the ride. Most of these habits are already familiar. The phone-free morning, the 2-minute rule, saying no, and starting small. But knowing a habit is useful and actually doing it are separated by one thing: starting before feeling ready. Nobody feels fully ready. The people who take control simply begin with something small and keep going. One habit tomorrow. That is enough. Motion beats perfect planning every time. The best time to start was a year ago. The second best time is tomorrow morning, when the phone stays face down and the day begins differently. If this video helped, like the video and subscribe for more simple habits that can make life feel a little more in control. And comment one habit you are going to try tomorrow morning.